Hey everyone, this is Michael. Welcome back to the channel. So today I gotta talk about some New Japan Pro Wrestling news, and we gotta go back in history. Let me give you a little history lesson. So gather around. Now, back in 1988, while on excursion, most likely for wrestling purposes, I don't know exactly uh, they were doing in Puerto Rico. I don't know if they're working for the Cologne promotion out in Puerto Rico, but Masahiro Chono, Shinya Hashimoto, and Kenji Muda adopted the name the Three Musketeers of the Fighting Spirit. The trio were part of the New Japan Dojo class of 1984, which included Akira Nogami, Jushin Thunder Lager, and the following years would see each member of the Musketeers echo championship wins and accomplishments. The trio would all go on to each win the G1 Climax Tournament, the IWGP Championship, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. Now, in 2004, New Japan Pro Wrestling announced a second generation of Musketeers. This being Hiroshi Tanahashi, the record breaking IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, who everybody knows would go on to become the future WWE superstar, and Kazunori Shibata, who people now know who is the head coach of the LA Dojo and also the current ROH Pure Champion of the Ring of Honor promotion. Now, on July 26, 2005, was the date set for Hashimoto's return to New Japan Pro Wrestling and the reunion of the first generation of Musketeers. Tragedy struck the wrestling world when Shinya Hashimoto died on July 11, 2005 from a brain aneurysm. On June 29, 2023, New Japan Pro Wrestling President Obari named Shota Umino, Ren Narita, and Yota Tsuji as the Reiwa Three Musketeers. This announcement was viewed by over 1 million people on Twitter. In the days, not even days, in the hours to follow, Shota Umino and Yota expressed words of rejection of being named part of this group. Shota went on Twitter to say the following on June 30th, 2023 at 10:01 a.m. And I quote, "What exactly is this title of Reiwa Fighting Spirit Three Musketeers? I'm sorry. Frankly, I don't care and I'm not interested," said Shota Umino. Yota said the following on Twitter: "President Obari, how long will New Japan cling to the past? Why do you want me to be teamed up with a Shibata imitation bastard?" Going back to Shota asking, what exactly is this title that was bestowed on them of Reiwa Fighting Spirit Three Musketeers? The Japanese era name system was introduced to Japan by Emperor Kotoku in 645 AD. The years after Emperor Kotoku's death, the practice of era names went through periods of abandonment. Japan is currently in a new era, even though the former emperor has not passed away. The former emperor of the Heisei era went through with an abdication on April 30th, 2019. On that same day, a new emperor and their era started named Reiwa. Hence, the current musketeer named bestowed on Shota and Yota and Ren Fighting Spirit Three Musketeers Reiwa. So to break this down in even simpler terms, we've had three eras of musketeers. In 1988, the first generation musketeers. This took place in the Showa era. In 2004, second generation musketeers. This took place in the Heisei era. And finally, in 2023, currently, third generation musketeers in the Reiwa era. Now, as for the third generation, the most popular member has to be Shota Umino. Umino is the son of Red Shoes, who is a very popular New Japan Pro Wrestling referee. Shota has been trained by Yuji Nagata, Tanahashi, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Tenzan, and also John Moxley. And I'm trying to figure out maybe what John Moxley taught Umino. Maybe he taught Umino how to blade. Who knows? That seems to be Moxley's specialty in wrestling, just blading every match and and doing rest holds and stuff. But anyways, I know people watch Forbidden Door and they didn't think much of Umino. A lot of people probably still thinks he needs work. I say, don't doubt the New Japan Pro Wrestling development system. Um, Now, if you've been like watching wrestling for a long time, like take a guy like Nakamura. He went up against Brock Lesnar in New Japan Pro Wrestling for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and this guy back in the early 2000s, he like didn't even look like a heavyweight. He was a guy who needed a lot of development, who needed to work on his building muscle. Like he looked like a like a twig next to Brock Lesnar. And back then in the early 2000s, this was a totally different Nakamura. The mannerisms, the showmanship that if you remember a few years ago, um, where people in the United States, we've heard that Nakamura is this big star in Japan, but a lot of people really didn't see it until Jeff Jarrett. He was able to, for the first time, have the Tokyo Dome show be aired live on pay-per-view. A lot of people saw Shinsuke Nakamura, and like he from I could remember from watching that pay-per-view, like um he was the person he turned into from after facing Brock Lesnar. He was a sports entertainer in New Japan Pro Wrestling before he even stepped in the WWE. Um like I said before, don't doubt the New Japan Pro Wrestling developmental system. They made Nakamura turn to a WWE superstar without even stepping in the WWE ring. So and then another guy, for instance, is Okada. Oh, sorry, Okada. I mean Okada. Jeez, who remembers Okada in TNA? Like, oh my god, Okada in TNA with the black hair. He went to TNA very early in his career on a learning excursion, and he ended up going back to New Japan Pro Wrestling to wrestle in a Wrestle Kingdom event. I think it was the one where it was kind of like promoted as a TNA versus like New Japan January 4th show. Maybe Wrestle Kingdom, I forgot what number it was. But I remember Okada in that match with the black hair. And he stunk up that joint. And he didn't stay in New Japan Pro Wrestling for long. He was sent back to TNA. And I mean, he developed some It looked like a Green Hornet type of gimmick he had, and if I'm not mistaken, I remember one time I was watching TNA Impact, and he was hung upside down, getting beat up by Samoa Joe, and not even not even 2 years later, this guy ends back in New Japan Pro Wrestling with under the Rainmaker gimmick, the golden hair, money dropping from the sky. I mean, he in no time he was the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So like I said before, don't doubt the New Japan Pro Wrestling developmental system. You might look at Umino and Ren. I think, hey, like who are like to put the Musketeer brand on these guys. Like New Japan obviously sees something in these guys that we don't see, and it's gonna take time, and it's gonna take a lot of it's gonna take a lot of help for these guys to become to become the people that New Japan wants them to be. Um, it's gonna take help from New Japan. It's gonna take help from Noah. Uh, it's gonna take help from AEW, ROH. They're all gonna chip in to make sure that the third generation of Musketeers become a really successful group, and each member is becomes big stars in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we'll see what's going to become of this third generation of Musketeers. Anyways, uh stay tuned to the Round Number One YouTube channel. I'll try my best to keep tabs on what's going on in Japan surrounding the new generation of Musketeers, and I'll get back to you with the latest information. Until then, see you later.